Do you know the expression, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war?
Right. Like, no. Wrong. You should be a monster. An absolute monster. Learn how to control it. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless. If you're an axe murderer, but you don't have an axe, that doesn't mean that you're moral. Like, no. Wrong. Monster.
You either have that or it has you. Those are the options. Part of spiritual development is to recognize the satanic tendencies that characterize you and to fully wrestle with them and to integrate them. That's the thing. It's not so much to cast them away, it's to transmute them. You know, and you can see the difference between people who've done that and people who haven't, at least to some degree, because people who haven't integrated the shadow at all are naive, and you can tell that when you look at them, and you can tell that when you talk to them. And because they're naive, they're often resentful as well because they get taken advantage of. And someone who's integrated that more, they're dangerous in the martial arts sort of way, which is they're dangerous, but they don't have to be.
Because that revelation of the evil of the self is part of the journey to enlightenment, and an early part. Now, the shadow would be all the parts of the personality that the persona rejects, and that might be the aggressive elements. Certainly, that's the case for people who are hyper-agreeable. No. Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster. Learn how to control it. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless. If you're an axe murderer, but you don't have an axe, that doesn't mean that you're virtuous. No. Wrong. Monster.
You either have that or it has you. Those are the options. Because you don't take yourself seriously until you know that you are an evil monster. And you don't take that seriously until you know what that means. And so, but once you know what that means, and that's like a burst of rage, let's say, when you hear about a mother who's done something terrible to one of her children, that's the reason is that, maybe she's just been laid off, maybe she went out and had too much to drink, maybe she's hungover, she's angry and lonesome, and she's overwhelmed by the responsibility of the children, and she has a child who's testing, and she doesn't know how to limit it, and one day, mayhem.
No. Wrong. An absolute monster. Learn how to control it. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless. If you're an axe murderer, but you don't have an axe, that doesn't mean that you're virtuous. No. Wrong. Monster.
You either have that or it has you. Those are the options.
To break that down more particularly, you might think about that as the capacity to observe your own resentment. You're going to be resentful and bitter in many situations because you don't get what you want. And if you watch that resentment and bitterness, you'll see that it produces fantasies that can be unbelievably dark. And that can be very frightening, and you might not want to admit to yourself that you're actually capable of having fantasies like that, or impulses like that, or aggressive feelings like that. But the thing is that if those aggressive feelings and impulses and fantasies are integrated into your character, it's like you're opening up a dialogue with a part of yourself that can be very forceful and strong and dangerous. And it's really useful to be dangerous, because if you can be dangerous, you often don't have to be. Like, no. Wrong. An absolute monster. Learn how to control it. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless. If you're an axe murderer, but you don't have an axe, that doesn't mean that you're virtuous. No. Wrong. Monster.
You either have that or it has you. Those are the options. It isn't so straightforward to determine what our place is in the world. And the thing that really got me with regards to that wasn't the good that we could do, but the harm that we can do. Because you can debate about the good we can do, but you cannot debate about the harm we can do. That's done. We know. If we want to know.